So it turns out yesterday there was a battle between England and France, a naval engagement in the English Channel, where the French decided to attack English fishermen for fishing scallops in their waters legally. Fucking hell. Holy shit. Well, that looks a bit fucking serious. And then the EU's like, not our problem apparently, according to the Express. The EU ignores the French attack on British boats and says, sort it out yourselves. I thought that war in Europe was what the EU was meant to prevent. Well, not if you don't intervene when French fishermen attack British fishermen. I mean, I'm not saying that we're up for a 100-year war, but we do have a precedent for it. Naturally, the French claim that we were the aggressors in the Scallop Wars. Let's see their reasoning. French fishermen have vowed to keep up their action to block British vessels from fishing for scallops off the northern coast of Normandy. The pledge comes a night after around 40 French boats were involved in clashes with 5 British vessels. Typical French heroism. Make sure you outnumber the enemy almost 10 to 1. Missiles including smoke bombs, flares and stones were thrown, vessels were rammed, and now both sides are pointing the finger of blame at each other. Okay, but it looks like the French did kind of start that, doesn't it? It was the British who rammed us, claims one French fisherman, despite the fact that the British were allowed to legally fish in those waters and you outnumbered them by like 8 or 9 to 1. Why would they do that? They have no incentive to do that, they've got no reason to do that. You seem to be the ones that are angry that the British are there, not the other way around. It looks like you're full of shit, Mr. Lefrancois. It's scary to have a big boat bear down on a small boat, particularly when the big boat was intentionally accelerating its engines. It didn't stop, it didn't reverse, and I was unable to help, so it was tough. The picture is actually the boat from the video that was ramming. This is a British boat. So what the French are complaining about is that they started a war that they can't finish. Once again, the French attack a smaller British force and come away with the worst of it. History of France right there in a nutshell. I love this. He is angry about what happened, but he is also defiant. A sentiment which ripples through the fishing community in this picturesque French town. This is the French, right? This is the military history of the French. Starting wars that they lose and then portraying themselves as the victims. Get fucked. Stop being defiant. Maybe you should wonder why you attacked people unprovoked. Maybe you should wonder why it's legal for them and not legal for you. Maybe you shouldn't conduct an unprovoked attack on other people just because you don't appreciate the laws of your land. So he, like others, accuses the British of depleting a vital natural resource for everyone. He will go out again and again, he says, if he hears the British boats are coming. If they were to ever come back into our waters, then we will do the same again, but this time with larger numbers. We are much more motivated. So it's not that you didn't start this attack, it's that you feel justified in starting this attack. We won't use weapons, unlike what people are saying in England, but we will have other things on board that are a little different, a little less aggressive. Really, you're not going to have smoke bombs this time. You're not going to chuck stuff, are you? You're just going to ram some boats and hope that gets rid of them. Again, I'm not saying that we're going to have a 100 Years' War. He is frustrated that the French are being portrayed as the bad guys in what happened. They may have been greater in number, he says, but insists the British fishermen turn the situation more volatile. Is it because they resisted and started kicking your asses? And you I mean, I'm just saying you appear to be the aggressors. You appear to be the ones breaking the law. The British appear to be the ones not being the aggressors, and the British are actually following the law. You are the ones throwing smoke bombs, outnumbering them like 8, 9, 10 to 1, and you're sat there going, why are you looking at us like we've done something wrong? I'm just saying, this isn't what we would normally call the rule of law. Not that I think that France has any use for such a term, because being French, they're fond of their emperors. But in England, we have something called the rule of law. And that's more important than your personal feelings about what's going on. You don't just get to break it because you feel like you're being aggrieved. Take legal action. That's what you need to do. And if you don't like it, do you not have a democracy by which you can change these laws? He adds that he and his colleagues in France have plenty of supporters, and if the British boats return, fishermen from some other European nations will join them. Really? Is that how it's going to be? We're just going to have a mass breaking of the law to attack British fishermen who are committing no aggression, who are following European law, and other countries are going to get on this vigilante justice. Are we going to go to war over scallop rights in Normandy? Naturally, the Conservative government is being weak as piss about this issue. Leaked WhatsApp messages reveal Tory MPs told the Environment Secretary that they felt angry and badly let down as they called for the Royal Navy to be put on standby to prevent future incidents. They said French vessels should be banned from British waters after Brexit if they continue to behave in such an aggressive manner. It's definitely one option, and it's important to note that the Scallop Wars are not a new thing between Britain and France. This is actually a very long-running feud, and there have been these kind of naval engagements many times. So the problem is that France only permits commercial scallop fishing between the 1st of October and 15th of May to reduce its impact on the shellfish population. British fishermen are under no such restriction, which has become a source of grievance which has led to accusations of the UK pillaging vital supplies of what is an important regional export product. Tensions over the issue have rumbled on for the past 15 years, with the last major blow taking place 15 miles off the coast of Le Havre on the 10th of October 2012, when 40 French boats cornered their rivals, attempting to ram them and throw rocks and nets with a view to damaging the propellers and engines. That's not acceptable, is it? The Financial Times' coverage of this war between England and France over scallops has suggested that British fishermen do not operate under the same restrictions as all the others have reported, but generally agree not to raid the scallop stocks when the French are restricted for doing so. I guess it's that British sense of fair play. Since the previous battle in 2012, until 2017 the French granted some fishing activity for our smallest vessels. In exchange we promised our bigger boats would not go in, said Jim Portus, the chief executive of the Southwestern Fish Producer Organisation, a British trade body. But too many of the smaller British vessels, which comply with the previously agreed criteria for year-round access to the scallops, are now entering the fishing zone, said the Regional Committee for Maritime Fisheries and Marine Farms of Normandy. Well, did you tell them that? Or was this something they didn't know that they were doing wrong, and then they got attacked by a bunch of Frenchmen because they didn't know there was a problem? The resource is plundered by the British even before the French open fishing. Well, honestly, it sounds like you agreed to let the smaller vessels in. It sounds like you didn't set a particular number. You just said the smaller vessels. The bigger boats don't go in, which apparently they weren't. It sounds like the British have done nothing wrong here. The British, naturally, are going to carry on fishing there. I want boats back in that area in the next 24 hours. They're entitled to be there. They shouldn't be harassed or in danger. That's correct. They were sending in the smaller vessels. They are allowed to be there. If you don't like it, maybe you should speak to your own fucking government that prevents you from fishing outside of there and allows us to do so. I don't know why I find this so amusing, and I can't believe that even with such unbelievably overwhelming numbers, the French still come off as the salty losers of this engagement. Oh, they rammed us. Well, you did start it, didn't you, Pumpkin? Well, they were doing something I didn't like. Yeah, but it was legal, wasn't it, Princess? Oh, the humanity of it. Won't someone think of France?